have an ambition? Trust your instincts. Move forward. This is your moment to shape your future, to be independent, to strengthen yourself. Your time is now. Accelerate your progress. Empowering your progress for a fulfilled life. Union Assurance.
I'm Yasodhara Pathanjali.
And I'm Kumudini David.
And we're from Independent Collective School.
And we will be answering Living's questions today for Living Gets Real.
Hi Yasodhara and Kumudini, thank you for being on the show with us today. It's a pleasure to have you all with us in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Alright, so Independent Collective School. What inspired the creation? I think Yasodhara, this is more for you. What inspired the creation of Independent Collective School? Your thought process, and can you take us to it?
I've always, in some way or another, been in education. But I've always taken a kind of out-of-the-box approach to it. Mostly because I didn't go to school. My kids didn't go to school. So the whole institutionalized education that people are familiar with was alien to me anyway. So kind of a fresh way of looking at it. When I moved to Sri Lanka, I started the homeschooling network here because I had started previous ones back home, and when I came here there wasn't one, so I started it. And then through the years there was this growing demand from parents saying we love the kind of education you're talking about, but it doesn't exist for our kids because for whatever reason we are not able to homeschool our kids. So what about the kids who need to functionally go to school but need something different? So I kind of answered that call. I don't think I ever wanted to do it, but it just became right at one point.
Just took a natural course, right?
Yeah,
I suppose.
It just happened.
So were there moments in your own life, I know you touched a little bit on that made you realize the world needs or needed a school like ICS? I think this is a question for the two of you all.
I think for me, I wrote a parenting manual when I was 10. I actually wrote a physical book when I was 10. Because I saw how much children are not being listened to, my own experiences as well as others. We were not being listened to, we are not being respected. We always told you don't know what's best for you. Adults have to always kind of push things on kids, whereas kids are not allowed to develop naturally. So that happened. That's one that really comes to mind when I think of those moments. But for me, having again been outside everything, the whole world just seems so wrong to me because a lot of the problems we have come from lack of proper education and proper development. So we have to take that approach. So I think it's all of life has, but then there's those moments as well.
I've always felt now in school or at home when we were being forced to go through studies, homework, etc., there was always fear involved. Fear was always a thing that was, instilled in us. And I very clearly remember having the thought, how am I supposed to learn something when I am so scared of getting yelled at or hit or ridiculed or whatever. So that was one. And then another incident that happened in school was we had a English lit teacher who I felt was the first teacher who actually ever saw me for who I was. And I remember how much of an impact that made to me, because it was from her that, you know, she saw me and then she got me involved. She said, you seem to know this subject, and that made me engage a lot better. So I think above everything else, teachers who make children feel safe enough to, you know, not always react out of fear is a huge thing when it comes to teaching children, because when anyone is afraid, you don't learn, you're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And so
I think for both of us then, that also being heard.
Yeah.
A child has to be heard
And
and
empowered.
understood.
And empowered. They have to understand that their opinions, their likes, their dislikes, their needs and wants are important. Yeah, so
I mean, they say that prisoners around the world have more rights than children in school. And it's true. And when we think of like that's the basis, the foundation of child development now and education, it's built wrong. We have to build it in such a way that the child is empowered, that the child is heard and respected. Respect is a very big one for me, which is why in our school we don't have titles.
Yeah.
The kids I don't care how old they are, they call us by our first names.
or they call us whatever they want. I'm called teacher, I'm called Auntie Kumo, I'm called Kumo. I mean, whatever they're comfortable using.
Because it's not a power trip.
Yeah, it's not about
Power trip, right? And education has been built as a power trip. I talk about it with bullying. So that's why in our school it's really important for us to have a flat hierarchy. I always tell them, the youngest kids we have are 2. So from 2 years old to me, we are equals. I am not more valuable in the school property than the 2-year-olds. No one is. We are all equal. And that sense of safety for a child to be respected. I remember one day one of our students came and she was so excited and she was running with a rock. I said, look, this is a pet rock, right? And she's only 4 or 5. And I said, I asked the other kids, is this exciting for you? And they were like, yeah, look, it's a pet rock. And I said, okay, let's stop what we were doing. Let's all collect pet rocks and paint them and decorate them. It's not about what they spend the rest of the afternoon doing. It's the fact that that child was so respected in that moment, that her idea was so valued, that then next year, 5 years down the line, she'll feel that, oh, my idea is valued. Let me go take that out into the world and explore it. Right? It has a huge impact on their ability to learn.
And one of the things that the kids who come to us from other schools, the first things that we have to do with them is to get them empowered.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to being as small as possible, as quiet as possible, as well behaved as possible, that
They lost themselves.
Yeah, they have no identity. When you bring children up without a sense of identity, how are they supposed to think critically? How are they supposed to voice their opinions when they don't have opinions? They're not supposed to have opinions. And so that, the empowerment of children, I think is absolutely something that...
And get them out of that mindset,
Yes.
right? Move them
Because
from that.
if you look at it, it's not just about education. You look at all social issues, from domestic violence to vagrancy to substance abuse to all the problems we see. It all stems from here. It stems from people not knowing who they are, people not being self-aware, people not being brave enough to come out and say, I need help. So for us, the work is always about, so we always at school keep our eyes very firmly on how is this helping them face the world as adults. That's all that matters to us. And we keep saying, okay, so we see this challenge in this student, how can we get them past it? How can we make them the best version of themselves? That's all that matters. We're not there to shape the child into thinking a certain way or being a certain way or anything. Because that's something that comes up because we are all very strong, opinionated people at school.
And we are all very
But we are not trying to make the kids like us. We want them to be the best version of themselves, and that can be very different from us. But that's great. We need diversity in the world. But it's that idea of bringing them into who they are rather than trying to kill who they are and push something else on top of them, which is normally happens.
Which is very disrespectful also when you think about it. Sorry.
So I think You all touched a bit on this in the previous answer. What is the difference between ICS and other schools in terms of student experience and the learning process in itself?
Learning process.
I'm going to let you answer the
Okay.
learning process. You're better at than me. A student experience, as we talked about it, being fully respected, celebrated for who they are. You can be any type of person in our school. If you're quiet, you can be quiet. That's okay. No, again, we need diversity in the world. If you're loud, how can that be healthy and good for you to be that way? You know, because sometimes with kids we find that they have certain characteristics, and when they're young, that characteristic can come out in ways that don't help them. That doesn't mean we need to shut down that characteristic. It just has to be guided and mentored into a healthy pathway. And it's up to us as adults, parents and educators both, to do that. It's hard work, but it's our responsibility. But what happens most of the time is the kid is labeled, you're a bad kid, this part of you is bad, and then it's repression and pushing it down, feels of guilt, and all of those things come out, and it's not helpful to anyone. So for us, it's really, really important that the child is happy and comfortable. Without being happy and comfortable, none of us, even us as adults, if we were not happy and comfortable in a learning environment, we cannot do it, or we can't do it to the best of our potential. So how can we expect that from children? One of the best things about our school is that most kids complain, the biggest complaint we have. Why do you have holidays? Why is the school closed on Saturday and Sunday? Can't they come to me and say, Yasodhara, if the school is closed on Saturday and Sunday, and I say, yes, we would like a rest too. Thank you. And they're like, but we want to come to school, right? That's magic. That's pure magic. As how many parents call us and say, the kid is sick. I'm having trouble keeping the kid at home.
Yes.
Because the kid is sick but wants to come to school. Right? Normally kids make up a sickness to stay.
Correct, yes.
Even my own kids, if I say, okay, let's, I might even say, okay, it's raining today, let's stay at home. Even for half a day, can we go to school? Like, some days, like, I'm busy and I'm like, okay, let's not go today. Even I might say that. I know, we have to go, even if it's for half a day, even if it's for... That, for me, is magic, because once a kid wants to be in school, once a kid wants to finish work, once... you gave a great example of my daughter. My daughter Indu, my middle one, she has had a small accident, couldn't study. And Kumu had given her permission to go off from the maths lesson and paint. And again, kids in our school have the freedom to do that.
Yes.
But she had gone off to paint, and a little while later, she has put down the paints and come and join the maths lesson. She has chosen it. An 11-year-old has chosen to stop painting when she had every permission to do so, and join the maths lesson instead. So when kids want to learn and they're excited about learning, then they learn. And they learn at a greater depth, which is what we need, because superficial learning at the end of the day goes out of the window once you finish the test. But our kids are learning at a deep level, which is what will help them in future life.
We teach each child at their own pace, at their own ability to understand, and we don't move past something until they've internalized it and know how to apply it. So that's the application. A lot of things that we do most of the time is getting a child past, especially when it comes to maths. Everyone thinks that, oh my God, I mean, they see the hieroglyphs and the weird signs and whatnot.
Panic attack.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, calm down, we will figure it out as we go. So it's all a matter of getting them confident that they can think past the problem. Because what happens as soon as you see it and you freeze, everything goes out of your brain. And this, all of us can relate to it. This happened to us in exams and etc. When you see it and like, oh, they're all trying to trick us. This is, the thing that he keeps saying is, they're trying to trick us. One of the first things he'll do when he sees a math problem is, why have they written it this way? They are trying to trick us. So he will spend the first good 15 minutes trying to attack it. right? And then, you know, you have to, and those are all survival responses.
Yeah.
Right? Those are, so when you
And
get
it's that fear of looking stupid.
Yes.
So you feel like, so you're not learning, you're just trying to promote your self-confidence.
Yeah. So
If
when
we do
you're,
it, then they can learn.
when you're in survival mode, your focus is to survive. It's not to learn and grow. Learning and growing comes when you feel safe. Right? You have to, you can learn when you're in survival, but you don't digest it and you don't grow from it unless you're feeling safe. So if your child or you are constantly in survival mode, you're just getting really good at learning to survive. You're not learning how to apply it, you're not learning how to live. And a lot of people, us, we know this, and you're so busy surviving that, you know, you don't actually know what it feels like to live. Yeah. So what we try to do a lot
So
is with the kids.
we take the Cambridge curriculum and we personalize it to every child. And it's delivered to each child.
Yeah, and they are not on the same, each of them have their own paths. They are not on the same thing at the same time. They're working, and we will curate. That's the key word. We curate the learning experience to each child for that child.
Interesting. Okay. So you brought in how the parents also come in with this thing about kids wanting to come to school, right? What advice would you give to parents who are considering such a school as ICS for their children?
I think for me, the key is finding a space that's good for the child. Sometimes parents always want what's best for the child, right? Without a doubt. There will be very few parents who don't fall into that. But sometimes how we measure what's best for the child is very influenced by external sources rather than just thinking about the child. What I have come across, because we've interviewed, I think like 350 kids since we've been open, like it's a lot of families I've come into contact with. What I see as a pattern is that what's best for the child tends to be reputational, tends to be performative. So how can I show that my child is doing great? And that it's learning that it becomes performative, and it shouldn't be. Learning should be learning to enrich and develop the child. They should not be performative. So reputational, performative, also not with a real understanding of the future. One of the big criticisms for me of institutional education is that it was, if you don't believe me, go and Google it. It was definitely built during the Industrial Revolution to get women into work, not to enrich our children. It was definitely designed for that. So it got women into work, and then they also wanted an obedient, literate population who could come and man the factories.
Worker bees.
And the obedience and not critically thinking were key. And that is what education, formal education as we know it today, was built on. There's the great Rockefeller quote as well about, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. And we have continued that generation after generation without really critically thinking about it. But right now, while we've kind of, people always say, oh, but we go through it and we're fine. Sure. I don't agree, because I think the people who say that, they are missing out the point that they could have been much greater had they had a better education. But sure, people survived. Okay. But right now, we are on the cusp, on that first changeover of the AI revolution, right? We no longer live in the industrial era. We are on the very cusp of it. We, as our age group today, we are the last in our old generation. Our children are the first in this new age, right? So we cannot afford to bring our generation, our parents' generation, and all the generations before's old day thinking into how we measure what's best for our children. AI future is here. 2030 is when the AI tsunami is supposed to hit the world, right? 86% of the jobs beyond 2030 have not yet been invented, right? 2030 is only 5 years away, right? That AI tsunami is affecting our jobs because none of us will be retired in 5 years' time. It's going to affect all of us. It's already affecting us, but the tsunami is coming in 5 years. So if it's going to affect us, our children will start work. They will only join the workforce after 2030. So yes, all parents want what's best for their children, but they're not using the right resources and the right kind of thinking to arrive at what is best for their children. That's because I don't want to say parents aren't thinking properly, because they are trying to do the best they can. But we have to completely change how we measure what's best for them so that we can come to the right thing. So one of the big things, 2019 is when the UNICEF report came out, mandating for global skill-based education for children, moving away from subject-based education. Because subject-based education is dead. Anyway, subjects don't actually exist in the real world. If you look around your office, where are the subjects, right? It doesn't exist. It's a completely made up thing, but it worked for now. But now with AI, the need to memorize information and all of that is gone. I mean, it's absolutely gone, right? So now what is required is critical thinking, problem solving, communication, all the big skills.
Asking the right questions.
Analyzing what comes back, right? So we have to get really aware. None of people think that I'm usually making up all these things in my head, but all the reports are there, the research is there. It's been there for more than 2 decades now. It's just we haven't done anything about it, right? Because 2019 for me, when the UNICEF report came out about this in 2019, why is it we're still sitting here 6 years later and our school is the only one that's skill-based in Sri Lanka? It doesn't make any sense to me. But that's where we're at. So I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and say, send all your kids to ICS, because we can't cater to all the kids in the world. And we want, very specific kids. That's a part of our interview process. But parents really have to educate themselves urgently about how they measure what's best for them and how they're going to deliver that, whether it's at ICS or somewhere else. But that has to happen urgently for me. Like it terrifies me that we're not doing that, but it truly, I don't know how we're going to survive. Because if you look at recruitment today, 25 years entering the marketplace today, workforce today, are not good enough. We know that. You speak to anybody in management in Sri Lanka, they will tell you that. Why are they not good enough? They can't think for themselves. They can't work by themselves. They need to be micromanaged. Why are they like that? Because school named them like that.
Yeah.
Or traditional school named them like that.
And I remember when I went into the workforce and they said, think outside the box. And you trained us to think in the box. All this time, how am I supposed to think outside the box? Exactly. So does someone have a checklist of things that I can do to be thinking outside the box? Of course, I'm someone who has always been.
You don't know why the box is?
Yeah, yes. Sorry, I've never had a box. But yeah, I mean, when you deal with people who have never done anything different to what everyone else has done, yeah, they get completely stuck and flummoxed because no, but this is how we did it. Yes, now they don't want you to do it this way. They want you to do it another way. How do you do it another way? Yeah, so
unless we get our kids trained from day one, we will. No, and so a lot of the time, education we talk about from a parent's perspective. I think there's a national crisis coming, because how are we supposed to run our economy with this level of people? We need entrepreneurs, we need innovators, we need leaders, and this system is just not building them, they're not developing them. So we are already seeing it, as I said, with the young people already entering the workforce. Where are we going to be in 20 years' time when we are retired and when we are no longer the focus? What are we going to do?
Totally agree on the recruitment thing. So the last question in this segment, I think this is for each one of you. So how do you recharge and stay inspired as educators and also as creators?
So I start.
Yeah.
I love my kids. I love each and every one of them. I am personally invested in each of their lives. And to me, I care about them, I worry about them, so that is a huge part of what I don't feel like I go to work. I've never had a day of, no, it just doesn't happen. And plus, I have moved my my entire art studio to the school because the kids are allowed to use my art material as well, but they just started their journey. They started on graphite and pencils and etc. And I always believe that you learn better when you watch someone do it. So I wanted them to see how you bring a painting to life. And goodness, the responses we have, if pretty much every morning someone will have painted something at home and they come and leave it on my desk.
Now we need about 5 more desks for her. Because there's really we have an urgent issue.
Yes, because there's sort of a competition of where to place the art things on my desk. So now I have about 5 desks with different art projects. So yeah.
But that point is really interesting for me because we've really misunderstood what teaching means in this world. Teaching is not about not doing and lecturing to a person about how to do. Painting at school has allowed so many children who were scared to paint before, to express themselves before. Now they're just expressing too much. It's at quite a rapid rate now that we don't know what to do with it.
Our kids are very, very opinionated.
It's only happened because she's there. She's not doing it to show them. She's actually just paid. She's doing a commission at school, one of her own works. And having that process happening and they can see that is more learning for them than if she was to teach them an art class. Completely different experience. But anyway, the question was recharging.
So to me, the recharging is I go home and sleep and then come the next day, looking forward to seeing my kids.
Yeah, I think we are all very, we know those kids at school.
And we care about.
We know them. We know them so well. Each and every one. We know where we wanted them to arrive at. Like today we were talking about one of our students and how in the last 18 months they have changed from one thing. And when we first met that student, we had this vision of this is what they should arrive at. And now they're there. We're pretty confident to say they're there. And watching that journey is kind of a recharging of its own. But I think also for the team, not having to run after a syllabus and not having this insane pressure to deliver in a metric sense. Obviously, I think my team deliver beyond what anyone can expect, but that's not measurable in a metric way. And I'm not judging them based on I don't have a list of metrics that I check today. And I think having a no pressure work environment where they are free to, they are empowered and the students are empowered and they go on a journey together, and that itself isn't as taxing as another teacher's life. Because I find teachers, they have to get into clothes that they're uncomfortable with. They have so many rules and regulations that govern. I mean, I know one school measures the length of the earrings.
Really?
I'll tell you later which one. They even have, this particular school has daily checks on their makeup to see whether the makeup has slipped. I hear so many just bizarre things put on teachers. How can a teacher be expected to deliver the very best for our next generation when they're being policed in this absolutely insane way? So having a team where we are like family, we are very free, we have a flat hierarchy so they can come and complain to me, criticize me. We don't have this power dynamic and we listen to each other. So having that kind of supportive environment is less taxing. But also I think I try really hard to make sure that when somebody needs a bit more recharging, that we make space for them, we'll give them day off, we'll work together, we figure something out. And we try to support each other's development as well. That's something that we try to do. But yeah, it's not taxing being at
It's
school.
not. It's not taxing being
Yeah.
at school at all. It is. I don't want to use the word challenging. It is more. We are always doing something new. There is never a time when we are repeating something
And then
by
we've had a
rote. Yeah.
month that's been the same at school.
We've
It's
never had a
always
week. We've
I
never
was
had
trying
a
to be
week.
conservative.
What? I don't think conservative is a very good thing right now. So yeah.
No, true. I agree. Seeing those kids, I mean, it's just magic. It's pure magic at school.
And they get up to, wow, we are saying ahead of they can come up with some fantastic mechanisms to get what they want. So you have to be a few steps ahead of them and say, really? Okay. So yeah. So it's fantastic, and I love the fact that our kids are cheeky.
Yes.
They are cheeky.
Because it makes it free.
Yeah,
We can handle
they
it.
feel safe.
You can say.
And the fact that they feel safe enough to disagree. But Auntie Kumu, you said this. No, okay, fine, I'm sorry. Let's try this. You know, that I feel gives children practice to be able to hold their own. Can you remember how much unlearning we had to go through to become an individual?
Like recently, I had to walk up to a student and apologize to him because a few days before I had told him off publicly for something, and I realized later from then their behavior that there was some negative behavior that happened as a consequence of my own actions, and then we had a chat about it. And again, this is where labeling a child doesn't work. We had a chat, and I understood that actually what I had done, I should have handled it better. And then if I had handled it better, they would have handled it better. And so I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry, I completely made a mistake. And then the same context happened again a few days later. And then this time, instead of going shouting across the playground, I actually walked up and I explained and I said, look, this is why what's happening right now needs to change, and I needed different behavior from you. And it was fine. And the fact that the head of a school came and apologized to a student, and that in itself teaches them so much about who they are and what they can expect from the world.
You lead by example.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we teach by example. Yeah.
All right. Very, very interesting, I must say. And I can see that there's a lot of thought process that has gone into it.
Oh, we think
Takes
a
so
lot.
Yeah, you did ask us what's hardest about this. We think all the time.
Conceptualizing new ways.
The number of times we have a
Wow.
staff WhatsApp, and the number of articles that I send the team at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. And then you have team members replying at 2 o'clock in the morning also. And like, what are you doing?
You can hear your phone going off
Yes.
at times. Okay, been interesting. Right, so we've come to the end of segment 1, which is a Q&A, and we will see y'all on the other side. We have a fun little game for the two of you.
Fantastic.
See you soon.
We love games.
The latest issue of LMD is available at lmdmall.lk. You can also access the digital version on Press Reader, Maxter, our social media platforms, and WhatsApp. The Voice of Business, a legacy of 30 years.
Alright, so we're back after the break and we're on segment 2, which is a fun little game. So game we have for you all today is, there are certain things that I'm going to ask you all questions, and in order to answer them, you cannot use the words yes, no, do, don't, never. Cannot use these 5 words, okay? So, Kumu, we'll start with you. Do you think your friendships bring out the best in you?
My friendships are not meant to define me. I will be my individual self wherever I am.
All right.
That is the most,
So hard.
yeah, that is the most sort of, curated answer I have ever given. Well, okay.
My God.
Yasodhara, okay. Are you the type of person who gets nervous in a new situation?
Depends on the situation. Sometimes yes, sometimes. I knew I'd mess up. Damn it.
Sakun, can you touch your nose with your tongue?
I have not tried to, and I the benefit of that action does not come to mind.
Do you like to eat raw onions?
I tend to put raw onions in salads at least 3 times a week.
Kumudini.
Yes.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I believe that energy, that we are all energy, and that energy is not always what's the word? Tangible.
All right. Yasodhara.
That's good.
Yeah. Can you roll your tongue into a tube?
I think I tried that when I was younger, but not recently.
Kumudini, can you touch your toes without bending your knees?
I can.
It's also like, did I make it? Did I make it?
Okay, Yasodhara. Have you ever done something that you regret?
I don't believe in regret.
Nice.
Actually, don't.
Don't.
Oh, I'm lost twice now. But I don't believe it. I don't regret the answer either.
I don't either. I don't believe in regret either.
Oh, wow, that's great. Okay. Kumudini,
Yes.
do you like to play practical jokes on your friends and family members?
It is not an action that I feel is beneficial to either party.
You sound like you're on Star Trek now.
Well, I feel like Spock. Okay.
Okay, Yasodhara, next one is for you. Have you ever eaten a whole pizza by yourself?
When I was small, I could eat possibly 3 pizzas in one go. But by small, I mean I was 10.
3 whole pizzas.
So,
Wow, okay.
Wow.
Kumudini, is
Yes.
it possible to sneeze with your eyes open?
I have not tried.
Okay, yes, a very interesting one. Can you be a president and a dictator at the same time?
the dictionary definition won't allow for that.
Alright.
President
And
means voted in. Dictator.
okay. Right. Kumudini. Can a cat be a dog's best friend?
That has happened quite a bit.
Alright, okay. Yasodhara, do you trust people easily?
Trust is something for me that's given automatically and fully. But always with caution.
Okay.
It's on them.
Kumudini, would you like to live forever?
What for?
Perhaps for coloring your hair so you can try the many different colors on your hair.
My hair will remain the colors that I feel. They're not going to have, many different colors. Maybe purple, blue and green. That's it.
That's it.
And white.
White
White is the next.
This one.
White
Next
is the
one.
next.
Okay, so we'll wait for that. Alright, Yasodhara, can you solve a Rubik's Cube?
I haven't taken it seriously.
Kumudini, so did you vote at the last election?
I was otherwise engaged.
Right?
I love this. Absolutely must do this.
Do pirates really bury treasure chests?
Must ask one.
Stuck in mining one. Okay, Kumudini, do you believe in Santa Claus?
I believe the entity exists.
The entity.
Nice.
The entity.
Okay, so Yasodhara, did the Easter Bunny bring you candy?
When?
During Easter.
I have yet to experience this.
Okay, last one. Kumudini.
Yes.
Are there Martians living on Mars?
If I meet one, I will ask.
I'll tell you. I wish you'd ask the Santa one from me.
What would your answer have been?
I am Santa.
Oh yeah.
All right, ladies, thank you very much for being on the show. It was a pleasure to have you all in the studio, and it was a fun little segment.
It was a lot of fun.
We're definitely going to play the game at school.
Okay, I'll
Yes.
give you the questions.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you again for being on the show. We wish you all the very best, and the school also the very best, and hopefully we'll see more of content that you create, the two of you all as well, your pictures, your art, your music,
Yes.
as well as
What
your-
doesn't she do?
Yeah, I know. You're very engaging content as well. So wishing the very best, and thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
There you have it. Those are our answers to the questions and game.
Be sure to check out Living's Instagram and Facebook pages for the latest episodes on Living Gets Real.
Bye.
Bye.